Oh, can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Hey, how we doing? Yay. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been crazy. Tabs, what is up? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. It is good to see everybody. We are if you're just now tuning in, um we are currently on Riverside right now. We had I had some issues that I was whatever. I was having some issues with StreamYard, having trouble getting logged in. It finally, I just said, you know what, enough's enough. So I went to my backup, well, faithful, which is Riverside. So definitely glad still have something that we have for backup. Oh God, so it's just it's been one of those. So yeah. Anyways, hey, how's everybody doing? It's your boy the Birdman. I got Mace Valley with me right now. You guys already know what to do, so why don't you go ahead and do it with us? Boo! Boo! That is right. We are here. We're live. So I can only imagine what else is gonna happen today. Yeah. So we're there. Tab says she's hanging in there. Hanging in there. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. I gotta see what's up with Mace. Mace, how are you doing?
Same old same. It's been crazy week.
Yeah, I feel you on
That's for
that.
sure.
Trust me. I trust and believe. I feel you on that so much so that I forgot once again to put this thing up here. Um, God, it's definitely has been a day and a half. For everything going on here. Um, so hopefully everybody else is doing pretty decently. I do. Let me see if I can pull this up though. Something I wanted to share. Um, that I thought was really cool. Um, Give me 1 second as I'm doing that. Other than all that other stuff, is there anything new going on with you there, Mace?
Basically, we're supposed to be getting a couch tomorrow, so we have to organize things and get rid of the old one. All of that.
Mm. Oh, so
It's
okay,
one of
so
the.
you guys are
It's
still working on that.
My girlfriend's mom is well. It was going to be earlier this week, but there was other things that happened that were kind of out of my control.
Right.
So which was such a pain because it was one of those things where in the morning it's like, oh, we all have to get ready to do this thing, and it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. They considered it an emergency, so I'm waiting to hear back. No one talks to me. No one tells me anything, and then hours and hours later, oh yeah, by the way, we don't have to do it anymore. And I'm like, it's 5 o'clock now. Like, but because of that, like the transportation that we were going to have, because it's my girlfriend's mom's old couch
Mm-hmm.
and none of us have a truck. So we got to
Mm-hmm.
kind of facilitate that ahead of time.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it was facilitated, but because I couldn't leave the house, I had to basically wait to be a part of this emergency thing. I had to clear off everything for the day. So it's one of those things that was like, Duh. So we're on track. Hopefully, no issues, but we'll be able to do it tomorrow. But yeah,
Yeah, trust me, I
blah blah
get that
blah.
whole lack of communication thing. I get that, and it's quite frustrating, especially when you're trying to get things done and do things. And yeah, yeah, you have that. That being said, I found what I was looking for. I do have something I want to share, which I'm trying to try my best to try to share, feel good stories whenever we can. Uh, even if it's not on the topic we're talking about tonight. And this is a good one. I think this is a really good one. So I know you heard about that guy Edwin Castro, who won the mega lottery, the Powerball, where
Oh
he
no, I
after tax
didn't.
and everything, yeah, you ended up
What
getting
happened?
2.4 billion. And so what he did was he bought 15 burned lots in California that was in the California wildfires, and he's rebuilding homes for his for local families in his hometown.
That's cool.
So I thought that was really awesome, because I don't know how many people, myself included, that'd be one of the thoughts that I would think about doing. 2.04 $2.04 billion. maybe my first thought is not, and it's crazy to think of that, but I mean, it's not really crazy to think that, but it's crazy though. If that's what we come to. Like, that's not your first thought. Like, my first thought. I mean, be honest with you. Let's be honest. Let's play the game here first, Mace. Let's play a little game here. If you were awarded $2.04 billion, whatever it is, Powerball or whatever, rich family member you didn't know you had, loved you to death, and said, I'm gonna leave you this money. What are the top 5 things you're gonna do first when you get that money?
Oh, I'm probably the wrong person to ask this question, but basically, I would pay off my debt
Okay.
and then act like it doesn't exist.
Okay. That's
There was a
fair.
point in my life where I would have a huge list of things, but the perspective on life changes. Um, I am very firm in the idea that the more you have, the less it will ever be enough. So, does that make sense? It's like you look at some of the richest people on earth, and it's like their greed knows no bounds. To them, they act as if they're in abstract poverty, like the way that they represent themselves. Like it's never enough. And I know how susceptible I am to that same line of thinking. So,
I can't argue with that. I wouldn't be upset with that. Um, yeah, let us know in the comments if you're, who out there watching us. Let us know in the comments what would be your thought, what you would do.
what about you? You probably
For
have
me,
something more interesting.
I mean, that's not really. I'll be honest with you, not really, because I'm of the same mind as you. That my perspective has changed over the years, the older I've gotten, and things I thought, oh, this is, if I got that kind of money, this is exactly what. It's changed quite drastically, actually. I mean, the first thing I would do is first step is you. I'd pay off any debt that I have. I'd make sure that I didn't have any debt, saying whatsoever. I'm not going to go on those out on the limb of saying that I would pay off family debt. Like, so if I had, if my brother had debt, if anybody else in the family they had debt, I'm not paying your debt off. You did that all by yourself. Figure it out. I'm also not the volition of saying, oh, I'm going to buy everybody houses and cars. No, I'm not. I'm not doing any of that. The first thing I do, like I said, pay off any debt. The businesses, like for me, it's different because I do have a couple other businesses I'm trying to get off the ground. I'd make sure that I'd have everything I needed to make sure those are going to be set up for success. As far as those businesses, I'd make sure, I've got 3 children. I'd make sure that they had, a substantial amount of money set aside for college. Well, my oldest one, she's already done with college, but for my son and my youngest, I'd make sure they had money set aside for college if they wanted to go to college. If I'd have their money set aside. So what I would basically do is this: I'd find the most expensive school in America and abroad. Okay, I would take those 2 schools, right? And then I would figure, okay, this is how much money if my child decided they want to go to this school in America or this school abroad and study for 4 years, this is how much money they would need, right? So I'd figure all that in, figure how much that is, and that's the money I would set aside. Now, if they decide not to go to college, then guess what? They're not going to get that money until they turn 25. So you better figure life out until you're at least 25, or hang on as much as you can until you're 25, because that money I set aside, that's all you're getting. So you better get it figured out. But
I
like I
think
said,
I
go
I
ahead.
think I'd have a much better answer if I let's do the hypothetical since we're doing hypotheticals. All of that money, but I do not have any kids. My answer drastically changes. So,
Same. Okay, so do that.
yeah, so basically I would still like essentially do the thing I did before, pay off all my debt, and then the
Hmm.
bulk of it just it sits there. But I would definitely use it for a very specific thing. Is I do my weird tinfoil hattie stuff.
Right, right.
I'm kind of limited to how like I can do a lot of the research or whatever. And so what I would do in this case is I would use that money to facilitate like the physical travel and the travel expenses to kind of go to the places that that how do I explain this? So prime example. So when I do like a lot of the religious stuff, I look at really old texts and
Mm.
I try
Hmm.
to like see the source kind of thing.
Okay, I know where
But
you're
there's
going.
an extent that can go online, right? There's the internet's great. There's a lot of information. A lot of things have been scanned and uploaded, but there's also a lot of stuff from the human experience that you can't get anywhere else other than like a museum or a library. Like, and that's not just like, oh, I'm going to go down to the Henderson Library. I'm talking like libraries that have been established for centuries, like in Europe and Asia, etc. So being able to facilitate going to all of these different places to, as I do my dig through human history and like try to make sense of how everything got so screwed up, and I'd be able to physically be in these locations. I feel like that I would be able to get a lot out of that, as far as like the things that I'm interested go. But with having kids, you really, it's like, well, we're here, we have a life here. I can't just uproot them and do all this shit. So
No, I get it. And I mean, that's a great alternative as well. I definitely get that. And if I could do the same, or let's say I say my kids are a little older. Well, mine are because I have a 23-year-old, a 14 and 13. So it's a little different in that sense. But let's say we were doing that in that scenario. Mine
yeah,
still
no restrictions holding you back.
right. So
Just Tim.
just Tim, no restrictions. My first answer doesn't change as far as I still would make sure any debt that I had is paid off. The businesses that I'm trying to operate, like with the t-shirt business, the basketball team stuff, even the podcast stuff, I'd make sure it's set up where I have equipment. I have, if I, for studio part for the podcast stuff, I have all that set up, ready to go. I have all that's ready, set up and ready to go and do everything I need to do. I agree with you about the research part though, being able to do stuff because when we talk about the podcast stuff that we're doing, that would, I mean, do you understand how much that would elevate a lot of things that we talk about by being able to actually be able to get, on a plane or, in a car and just drive to some of these places we talk about and actually interview people. You know what I'm saying? Actually be able to put that as part of the process of being able to do that. Actually, maybe hiring people to be part of the research team to help us research these topics we're talking about. Because then you can say, hey, we got a full-time research, team of maybe 3 or 4 people. It doesn't have to be a big one, but 3 or 4 people you can say you can hire full-time to actually do all, help do all the research, while they're doing research, while you're going out and hitting these places and talking to these people about the topics you're going to be talking about. Like that changes a lot of things, right? Um, but if I'm, like I said, once again, if it's just me, then another thing I'm gonna do is instead of like saying, I'm setting that money apart aside for my children, like I was talking about. Now let's say now I'm taking that instead, that energy, that resource I'm gonna use for that, I'm pouring it into real estate because then I'm gonna sit there and say, hey, buy real estate, give some of these parties, maybe even maybe start even a project in which we're hitting certain cities or towns or whatever. We partner with construction crews, this and that, and we're going into different places, different areas. We're building not only building homeless shelters, but we're also building um, um, VOTEC centers to help these people get skills in today's market that they can actually go out and get jobs with. There's a lot of different things, man. I mean, like when I think about money like that, that's money that can really set you up. And to be honest with you, even in both scenarios, you can honestly, for me, um, I can combine both of those and still do what I want to. It's just tweaking that a little bit, maybe some other things, but yeah, it's just cool. I mean, it's just crazy. Yes, for those who joined it, we, we have an episode we're doing, but there was a hypothetical I threw out. For those who don't know, I'll pull it back up as soon as I can. Give me a second. This gentleman, I forgot his name that quick. I'll just pull it up. I don't feel like arguing with myself on this stuff. I just don't have the energy. I don't have that energy. Edwin Castro, that's his name. He had won the Powerball, the Mega Powerball, whatever, and he was awarded like $2.04 billion. And this is what he's doing with his money. He has decided he bought 15 burned lots in the California wildfires, and he's rebuilding homes in his for local families in his hometown, which I thought was just amazing. It's a great story. I hate saying it, but there's a lot of times we're kind of hard pressed to hear really good stories from time to time. I don't know why that keeps doing that. Stop freaking doing that. Sorry, I'm having some issues with my computer. More Safari than anything. It's being stupid. I really don't like it at all. Anyways, but that's what we were talking about. Hypotheticals, what we would do. Like I said, if you have an hypothetical of what you would do, please throw that in the comment. Um, Let us know what your thoughts are. Tab says she would build her dream house in the middle of nowhere. I feel that, Tab. I you know what I would do? Yeah, 'cause listen, I'd have to listen. I got a lot of budgeting to do with this money. Okay, I don't have any money, but I got a lot of budgeting. She also said she would pay off debt. Um, oh, sorry, wrong one. I'm putting the wrong one up there. Get out of here. Stop that. Pay off debt and take care of her kids and grandkids. Outstanding. I agree with that. But I like I said, I got so much I got a budget. I would do, you know what I would love to do, Monty? I would go out, find, like I said, talking about buying real estate, but I'd buy some land, find some land somewhere, have it built up. Not when I say built up, I mean built up. Like find some land, I'm saying if I have to build it up, bring the stuff in, build up, and I would build a castle. Old school castle. That's what I would do with a dungeon and everything. I would build an old school castle. I'd put a moat around that sucker. You know what I'm saying? I have my solar panels on there so I can have electricity, all that good stuff. I'd make sure it's kind of close to, some type of running water source. That way I can tap into that as well. To help with a lot of stuff. I would tap into that. Dude, not I for real, I would live out there. Just yes, I would love it. I'm with the tabs. Build a house in the middle of nowhere. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. We got an episode we gotta do. Okay. Miss D should be joining us here in a little bit. I know Mace might have to bounce out on us here after a while. But so we'll carry on for as long as we can. This I've been in and out on following this story, on following the developments of this story. I remember watching a brief part of the documentary that is on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's in my notes somewhere in here. If I find it, I'll make sure I'll pull it up. But this has been a whirlwind case, and it has came to a conclusion, or we so thought. We were talking about the Karen Reed, not guilty of murder, but the war is just beginning. So she was just recently found not guilty of murder. And so yeah, I, I don't know how to feel about that, especially if you followed any part of this case. It's yeah, it's a case. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so my question to you, Mace, what if any knowledge you have about Miss Karen Reed?
To make a long story short, yeah, it's very like if you pay any level of attention at all to any element of that case, it's very obvious that she is not guilty. And it's very evident that the people inside the house all know what happened that night. 100%. They all know, they were all involved, and they all like planned to stage it to make it look like it was Karen's fault. That's so she was accused of murdering or manslaughter or whatever you want to call it, her boyfriend. They were like at like some event, like some friend thing, like went to your house, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She left after they were like having fun drinking, whatever. Or she never actually went to the house. She went by there, and I guess they got into an argument because they had both been drinking. And then she left, and he like went inside her, or he went inside. He never came out. She was already pissed off because of their altercation, and she just left. But allegedly, what happened, what it was told, because you got to remember, all the people are law enforcement. He's law enforcement. The people inside are law enforcement. So the next morning, his body is found, and it's alleged that she was backing up her car and intentionally ran into him. And that's like kind of how the story goes. But then when you start paying attention to it, when her car was picked up, the taillight wasn't broken. The taillight was broken after they had already brought her car in. So initially you get her car, taillight's fine. But then sometime after the car gets put into evidence, then the taillight's broken. And then a piece of the taillight is found in the snow. So it's very clear like evidence is being planted. Even in the garage where they like brought the evidence vehicle in, they had flipped the camera, so the video feed. So when you look at it, it looks like you're looking at a different side of the car because the camera, like the image is flipped. So the side of the car, because it's kind of at an angle, you can't see what's going on with the other taillight. And the reason why is that was the taillight that they were messing with, and they couldn't be seen on camera doing it. But when it's showed the other way, it looks like the other taillight. So it the physical evidence of the video of the taillight itself doesn't match at all the story of what actually of what happened that night. So like that's just like one little thread to pull from. Like just from that one thing alone, it's like, oh well, this is very clear. Like she obviously didn't do it. And because of like the physical evidence, like you say that she backed into him and he was dead in the snow and was there all night. That's what you say. But when we picked her up, her tail light was just fine. But then eventually at some point later, the tail light was broken. And then later, that's when the tail light pieces were found at the scene, hours and hours and hours after this all had happened, like after she had gotten picked up for it. And so like you start to analyze it and it makes no sense. And it does make a lot of sense that these are people in law enforcement that like they have access inside of like the department and everything, and they know people. And I, I'm one of those where it's like I always like kind of get the hyper specifics blurry, so it's just kind of like the overall idea I'm trying to convey. Like that's why we love having D here, because she does get really nitty gritty on the specifics.
Yes.
But that's like, so that's just one thread to pull from. You could just look at the taillight situation and the rest of the story kind of falls apart. There's a bunch of deleted, from the people in the house, there's a bunch of deleted calls, a bunch of deleted texts. There were some calls that were done to people at very weird times for different lengths of time in the middle of the night. They even checked people's like Apple Watch, because you know that's one thing. You look at the Apple Watch, it sees all your movements. It shows biometric data, and you could see like people moving crazy around the house at a given point in time. So that would go to argue. It's like, why are these people moving around so erratically? You know, going up and down like stairs and like all these little things, right?
Because they're playing hide and seek.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm kind of just like throwing it all out there. But yeah, Karen Reed was accused of killing her boyfriend. And the interesting thing is there was 2 trials. The first one didn't work out very well. And then because the first one, there wasn't as much public attention on it. It was kind of because the whole thing is that they were hoping to just make it go away quietly, but she refused. She wanted it to go to trial. Well, when when evidence is brought before people, everyone raises their eyebrow. It's like, well, this story doesn't make sense. But the people, like the law enforcement guys that were there that night, that they are most likely the ones that did it. They have connections with upper echelon of law enforcement, like judges. I don't know if that's considered law enforcement, but like law upholders or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Judicial. So they have like, so that's another thing, is that the judge from, I remember the second time around, was very clear, like she was like favoring these other guys over Karen Reed. And so it's so messy, but it's so blatant in our face. Once the media attention came on the second time around for the second trial, because the first one, mistrial or whatever, whatever happened in the first time around didn't work out. But even in the first one, she wasn't seen as, you know, guilty, because when the jury looks at it, they're like, yeah, this ain't it. What are you talking about? She didn't do this. Like the way you're presenting the evidence to us, the way you're explaining the story beyond a reasonable doubt, there's no doubt she did not do it. And the powers that be that didn't want to get in trouble and get hemmed up for this, for something that they did do, they, you know, tried everything they could. They were hoping that she would get charged. She would just accept it for what it is and not fight against it. But she fought against it, which kind of made them all like, oh, crap. We didn't think she was actually going to, you know, proclaim her innocence, you know, because that's the thing, too, is a lot of people in law enforcement use all these fear tactics, and they emotionally and mentally break you down throughout this entire process, where you just want it to be over sooner rather than later. So you give false confessions, you cave, and all this stuff, and that happens quite a bit in this country, and that's why
Yes.
like law enforcement as a whole is kind of seen more as like an organized gang because of how they operate. They completely abuse the power. Anyway, blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's perfectly true. I mean, that's a yeah, I mean that's 100%. And that reason why it's kind of viewed that way. And the thing is people understand. I mean, yes, the police are there to help to serve and protect, 100%. And the ones that are doing their job, they do a phenomenal job, and I'll never take away from those. But understand, even the ones that are doing their job, they are trained to lie. They're trained to lie to you. They're trained to do that to get you to get you to start talking or get you to incriminate yourself. I mean, that's just, and that's not just me saying that. I actually I was sent a video today from there was somebody who went to a complete police convention in Chicago, and the things that they were teaching or they were talking about, and the instructors were telling these guys and stuff like that, or the men and women, um, it's crazy. At some point in time, we might do an episode on it, but it's crazy. And to sit there and say, they're not, do they? Oh, they're just no. I mean, let's be honest. That's what they're trained to do. Um, so that's why they always tell you it's beyond imperative you exercise your Fifth Amendment. And they'll even go so far as, well, if you don't talk to us, that just shows you're not cooperating, and and the judge is gonna remember that during your trial. Okay, whatever. But let the judge and the jury let them remember that during my trial. Because the
The
simple
right to
fact is,
free speech also includes silence.
yes, yes, silence is a great form of free speech. It's like totally free, and like no one has to worry about paying for it or listening to it. So, but yeah, that's why I tell somebody quickly, hey, if you do get yourself in some, don't make it worse. Just comply is what you comply with, but don't just shut up. Just shut your mouth. Don't say anything. So yeah, it's just whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on in this case. Now I will say this, and I'll actually read this. Karen Reed was acquitted of murdering her Boston police officer boyfriend in June of 2025. So 2025 is last year. Um, but the chaos didn't end there. So what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to break down the stunning aftermath of one Massachusetts most contentious trials. This is, like I said, this is a very, very crazy trial. We're gonna try to uncover the explosive new civil lawsuits. Reed is now suing the state police and the town of Canton, alleging a culture of bigotry and institutional rot. Um, and in a massive countermove, the witnesses she accused of framing her are suing her and the blogger known as Turtleboy for defamation. So there's a lot going on with this. There's a lot going on with this case. It's really crazy with a lot of the stuff that's going on with it. It's just I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I think Miss D was having some issues. Okay, she's having some issues. I don't know if she's having issues, but either way, okay, got you, Miss D. Cool. Okay, so now this case has been going on quite some time. Okay, so the Karen Reed case in 2026, and we're going to talk about that. The Karen Reed case here in 2026, and the landscape has completely changed. Now, for anyone tuning in, Karen Reed was accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, by allegedly backing her SUV into him during a blizzard in 2022. Okay, so this all transpired in 2022. After the first trial ended in a mistrial in 2024, she was retired, and in June of 2025, she walked. Okay, not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter, but she was convicted of a misdemeanor operating under an influence of liquor. Now, I I don't. You know what? I'm gonna do this. How about this? I'm gonna pull this up, and I'm gonna share this in the comments. This article, as soon as this stuff gets off my face, get out. Go on, get. Sorry. Gotta love live shows. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. There we go. So you can definitely check that out. This part of the article. This one's from I think it was USA Today, I believe. Is yeah. So this is from the USA Today article. I'm not signing in. I'm not doing that stupid stuff. And actually, let me pull because this one is I think the USA Today one. Yeah, here we go. I'll pull up the NBC News one. God bless it. Stop, stupid. There we go. I'll pull that one up because that USA Today one is not. It's asking you to sign in and create an account, all that crap, and we're not doing all that stuff. We're not doing that to our peoples. Okay, Birdman Show here. We're trying to look out for you guys. All right. I know it's a long one. I don't know how it shows up in the chat on Facebook. I mean YouTube. Um, but yeah, there it is. I don't know how that's going to show up on there. Holy crap! That's that. Jesus, that's a long, weird one. Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing all that. Anyways, but I'll pull that up because some of the stuff we're talking about, they're gonna have some of the legal terms and all that stuff, and other things like that in there. So I don't want to like misquote some things. So I like to give everybody opportunity to be able to look that kind of stuff up. So when you hear that first part of that, they're amazed the fact that she walked out, she was not guilty of murder, she was not guilty of manslaughter, but they've been convicted her of misdemeanor operating under the influence of liquor. When you hear that, what's some of your first thoughts?
Well, they just want to go after her for anything and everything. So they, which it's all like I think we had mentioned this in like one of our last shows, kind of like how they divvy out like charges and stuff. So it feels like it's fitting because if she was drinking and driving, then you can't really like deny that element of it. So it's like, hey, I mean that did happen, but not these other things. But it's like one of those things where they're trying to like throw everything that they can so at least they can get her on something. So and it kind of in the hopes that well, if she did this one thing, that the fact that she's guilty of this one thing might convince people that that thing that she's guilty for is connected to the other stuff. So like, oh, she was intoxicated, she was driving impaired. So because of that, it stands more to reason that she also did these other things.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, there's definitely, and that's one of those things. It's one of those things that they might try to, and I think we've talked about this on a couple other cases where sometimes prosecutors will go after a one conviction on something because they know if they can get you on that, they maybe they can hold you long enough to where they can go do some more investigating, hopefully find some more things that they can hold you on and do all that stuff. And police are they're the same way when it comes to that stuff. Let's hold you on this. Let's say you littered or something. Oh, we could hold you for 48 hours for that. And while they're doing that, they're working frantically to find more evidence to convict you of the other crime they really want to get you of. And I don't know how many times I've seen that on court cases or first 48 or something else like that. Well they'll bring somebody in on a warrant or something else that is really minor, but because it is in existence, they can bring you in for that while they do everything else. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Now the thing is the OUI conviction just ended with her in her probation in June of this year. So her probation for that was up in June of this year. But while her probation is over, the legal war is only getting hotter. Okay. So let's get into this like seemingly like civil war type thing that's going on here. Because that's where the action is now. All right, Reed is not going away. She said on the Today Show back in June, and I quote, "I couldn't just go back to life as it was. I have to continue fighting for justice." And she is fighting. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that up to talking about that. So that way, because I said it was a quote, so I want to make sure I give you the quote. So I'm gonna put that also in the chat. There's gonna be a running theme here. When we come up with stuff, where am I putting it at? I'm putting it in the chat. There we go. All right, we're putting that stuff in there. All right. That other one ever show up? Okay, yeah, it did. No, the NBC News one didn't show up. Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna try. I want to see something because I want to try something because that's a little weird that that didn't show up, and that was right. That's right before this one and right after the other one I posted already. So let's see something. Let's play a little game here. Let's play a little game here. Oh, so are we getting blocked? Is NBC News getting blocked on here? It might be. Wow, that's interesting. I'll have to pay attention to that. Okay. That's interesting because I put a link just like the other two that you see in the chat over on YouTube. I put a link in there, and neither one of the one that's actually in between those two is not popping up. And then I reposted it again after I just reposted that other one. After the other one popped right up, and I was like, "Oh, let me try something." Repost again. Guess what? It didn't show. How
But just won't go
flippin'
in the chat at all.
no. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder. Tell me if it pops up in our in our private chat. See if it pops up. Tell me if it pops up there. There, Mace. Did it pop up in the private chat there?
Studio chat. Yeah, it popped up.
That's wow. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. On my end, when I click on public chat, that same link is also in public chat. On my
Is
end.
it in the public chat?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just not popping up on YouTube because it's not on the YouTube feed. Because I'm keeping track on it on the YouTube feed. So it's just not popping on the YouTube feed. That's interesting. Okay, cool. That's whatever. So I guess it's popping up in studio because this public chat that's here is actually the studio chat, but it pulls in comments from any other source that we might be live streaming to. So that's interesting. They are listening, Misty. They are listening. They are watching. They are everywhere. That's right. Those are facts. Okay. So okay, I put that quote in there. There is a link for it. Like I said, if you're in the studio with us, if you're watching, if you're joining us on the Riverside studio itself, which you can do by simply going to this riverside.fm/studio/birdmans hyphen studio. That's riverside.fm/studio/ Birdman's Birdman with an S at the end hyphen studio. Any link that we put in the studio, you can definitely click. You can click on while you're watching. It'll open up a separate window for you to check those out. So that's one thing I do kind of like, and I really kind of miss about Riverside is being able to do that, and also have a live studio audience. Because then if people come into the live studio audience, then stuff like that we can kind of avoid because we have our own studio. That being said, I digress. All right, so like I said, that was a quote. That was a direct quote from her. Okay, so what can you tell me, if anything, about the beginning stages of the trial?
Yeah, this is why I was hoping that we would have D at this point, because that stuff I didn't really pay attention to. Like, so I paid really close attention to the Johnny Depp trial. That was like a real big
Oh
spectacle.
my God.
By the
Yeah, we got
time
to
I
do an
found out
episode on that.
about by the time I found out about the Karen Reed stuff, like more than enough time had gone on, and it was kind of towards the tail end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! So because we were towards the tail end of it, I just kind of caught like people's anecdotes of it. So, and then I did like look in to get some more information, but like actually watching the trial, I didn't like sit and go through the whole damn thing. But I got enough contextual to kind of get an idea of it. The first one I know very little about. I just know that it was, I don't want to cuss, but it was a storm. Let's say it was a disaster
Yeah.
of sorts, which is why they had a second one. Which once again, it's really kind of unneeded because a lot of the things that went wrong weren't on Karen Reed's end. It was on the end of the prosecutor and the judge. So
Right.
and that's something that we saw the second time around. It's like the kind of like grasping at straws thing, like, which, when you're facing up with lawyers and stuff, it's something that happens. It's like, even if you give them perfectly sound evidence, perfectly reasonable logic, that can't reasonably be dissuaded, they try everything they can to then take that and frame it against the other person. It's comical. So with her the second time around, there was a lot of media attention, and because of that, you had a lot of people like sleuthing. So people like me and you that would like look at whatever information was given to the public through the trial, and we started like parsing it ourselves, the public. And that's the thing where it's like you have the law of the land and interacting with the courts, but then you also have the court of public opinion. The way it used to be, the court of public opinion was all about whether or not people agreed with whatever stance the media had. But nowadays, with the advent of technology, and we're so much more connected and we're able to share information quickly and freely, like in a way never before, we can start to analyze these things ourselves. So the court of public opinion is less about people's like innate feelings on a topic, because we can now like do our own due diligence and research to the best of our ability. Like we're not lawyers, we're not law enforcement, we're not like in the back office digging through files. We're just parsing together what's publicly available, and we're trying to piece together how it actually makes sense. And in Karen Reed's case, the narrative and the anecdotes and the evidence that was against her was a stretch, and it was tried to be presented as like ironclad fact, but it's really hard to do that when it's pretty evident that she didn't do it, and that the evidence that is set up against her very clearly looks planted. It very clearly looks manufactured.
Yeah, I think that's what like the biggest problem with a lot of this is that, like you just said, it just clearly looks like it's manufactured. Especially going back to your point when you talked about her car being impounded and taken into the evidence, and the fact that, okay, once they were able to actually tell the fact that they flipped the footage, which I'm trying to remember how was it, did they look at the clock, or I'm trying to remember. I vaguely, and I don't, it's not in my it's I know it's not in my notes.
It was something dumb and obvious. I mean, for
Yeah, it was.
anyone that knows what that place physically looks like you guys
Mhm,
have seen my room long enough to where if I were to mirror the camera, you guys would know that, oh, that's not right. That's not how his room is set up.
right.
Like, it is his room, but it's very clearly like, you know.
It's not what it
But
should be.
yeah, but the thing is that these guys had the fact that the people had access to be able to do that. So this comes down to the whole thing, and this was the one of the main guys. Can't remember his name. He was the bald dude that was like doing the accusations against her, law enforcement guy or whatever.
I
During
think it
the
was
one of the doc,
what was his name? Because now you got me. Was
yeah, I
it
don't
Brian
remember a
Abbott?
lot of their names because it's
Albert?
a group of them. It
Yeah, it's
wasn't
like
just
Brian.
one or two people.
The main people she was accusing it was Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe. There's others in there, and I'm thinking you're talking about Brian Albert. Albert.
Yeah. Well, there's all right. So of the group of people, there was one guy that just had like did the First Amendment thing and didn't say nothing. He wouldn't even so much as communicate with the other people. So this was after like allegedly from the public's opinion that the evidence had been manufactured and planted. So after that event had taken place and was kind of done, and then it went forward into like the court proceedings and stuff, he kind of like ignored everybody, didn't talk to anyone else involved, wouldn't talk to media, wouldn't. He just kind of like, nope, nope, not having any part of it. Duh, la 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 la, you know. And it's something that was brought up. That bald dude, whatever his name was, he's one of those guys where you need to run the First Amendment like really badly, because he would just let so much information out, not realizing that we're paying attention to what he's saying. From his position, he wants to talk because he wants to clear himself. This kind of leads into the defamation stuff. They keep talking because they want the immediate satisfaction of people listening and agreeing with them. The problem is people aren't agreeing because they're just digging themselves a deeper hole. It's like when you say a lie and then you have to explain the lie to reinforce the lie, but then because that's a lie, you have to kind of build all these other things around it, and it kind of collapses in
Mhm.
on itself. So he had a thing that he had said where people are saying that this is a conspiracy, that this was like manufactured and doctored. There's no way that could happen because you would need so many people involved in order to be able to do this. And it's like, well, if you really think about it, you don't really need that many people to actually know. You have the group of people inside the house the night that everything went down. They know exactly what happened. Okay? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have anyone that is directly connected in terms of the planting of physical evidence, right? So that could be people that they work with, like hey, don't ask any questions, but you know, or if I go into the back office and like try to like do whatever with evidence in the evidence room, and someone sees me, but we're like a part of the same club, so it's kind of like this agreed upon thing. It's like, oh, I didn't see nothing, right? So
Yeah.
there's another person that's a part of the grand conspiracy, but they don't have to know every piece of information. And then the further down the line you go, where it gets to more administrative stuff like filing and whatever, those people could technically, by definition, be involved in the cover up and conspiracy without ever knowing it, because they're just people that are just doing their job. Like, oh, I got this piece of paper. It says this. Oh, yeah, yeah, I'll sign it, whatever. All right, there we go. They have no idea that the documentation that they just signed had something to do with like the collection of evidence and making sure that there's a cut chain of custody. Like they have no idea. They're just doing their job, you know. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's actually relatively easy. And because of the line of work that they were in, the people that they knew, the influence they had, the access that they had to be able to go into these back offices. Like I know there was one thing that was it was an issue with a cell phone, and
Mm.
there was security footage of one of the guys going into a back office that he shouldn't have been in, but you know, because he's not the one on trial, he doesn't really have to answer questions about that because there's no legal criminal things going against him, but he can't help but say something because it's like, oh, people are looking at me doing this. They saw the surveillance footage. I need to be able to explain that away. And if they just shut up, it's like, yeah, you might get people that still talk, but if you keep quiet, you don't say anything to the contrary, then the people that are doing all the talking don't have any ammunition. It just at that level remains like gossip and speculation. So that's why like this whole
That was
yeah, that
midday.
was D. So every time I lost my train of thought. Yeah,
You were talking about the him kept he keeps talking instead of
No,
just
well, the defamation thing. So that's it. That's the thing with the defamation thing. This goes back. The reason why they're fighting it is, think of it like this. So the Karen Reed trial happens, and people say, "Hey, I don't agree with this. The way it's presented in the courts makes no sense." So instead, what they do is they start to piece together things and then turn their gaze. So that's why
hmm
you have people that like the blogger and stuff, the people that looked at it, felt different, and then gave their opinion on observations. It's like, yeah, we're all looking at Karen Reed because that's the court filing, that's like the trial. But if you actually like take a look at it from this perspective, these people, it makes more logical sense that they were involved. Look at their behavior, look at the things that they're talking. Here's some quotes that they said. And then so people like come up with like their own narrative of what happened based upon the available information. And so that's where the defamation thing comes in, because on their end, there's words that are being said, whether they're true, false, or not, whatever. Essentially, their name is in someone else's mouth. And eventually, down the road, hypothetically, if information comes to light or whatever, they could be like, "Oh, wait a minute! It did turn out that you guys might have some hand in this. Now we're going after you for criminal charges. Now we're doing all this stuff." With the defamation thing, getting that taken care of early, it removes some of like the perspective and speculation of that. So it's like, hey, like Monty killed somebody. It's like, no, I didn't kill anybody. It's like, oh yeah, well, based upon all this information, no, 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 you definitely did it. If I just kind of let those words be out there and I'm not defending myself, it looks bad. Once again, it's not
Right.
criminal. This is them like doing the whole court of public opinion thing, because eventually the court of public opinion affects the courts, affects the law enforcement, because there's too much pressure, and it's like, all right, eventually we'll take a look at it, or maybe it's worth a second look. But if you start having these things being said and you actually do defend yourself against it in the court of public opinion, um, then it makes it less likely in the future for that to be kind of used against you. Once again, it's like these aren't criminal things. These are just like people playing the game and trying to like come out ahead.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get help D get in. No, I totally agree with that. And it's like one of those things that some of these fools are gonna have to understand. They got to get this through their head, right? Um, Sometimes if you're just patient, you know what I'm saying, patient. Like I mean, you can address some things, but it's one of those things where like anybody will tell you, only volunteer information when it's needed. You know, like if you have to answer a question or something like that. But if you're just out there talking and you just keep talking, and like they might ask you one question, and then here you are, you're answering five questions down the road that they haven't asked yet. You're just giving the information out. Now they're able to take what you're getting, what you're asking, and or what you're saying, and now they're able to take that and turn it into something different. Like, old boy just needs to shut up. He just needs to shut up. I agree with you, Miss D. How you doing there?
Better now. Jeez, that took forever.
Yeah, what the heck was going on?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've used Riverside, so maybe it
Yeah,
just, I don't know. Last
yeah,
time I used Riverside, I was on my laptop too.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's been a while. I listen. I really do like Riverside. I like Riverside a lot. The editing tools on it is phenomenal. Heck, I don't even have to worry about really uploading to Spotify. It does all that stuff for me. So that's one thing I do like, and I kind of miss about Riverside.
And you can do the
But
shorts and stuff too, right?
yeah, it makes all those clips for me. Like it kind of does that for with StreamYard, but StreamYard only gives you X. They only give you a few. Riverside, it's they give you like up to 10. But you can also create your own clips on there as well. So it does a lot more. It's not extra for me. It's not I don't have to pay extra for storage, which is what I love about it because it's definitely it's like fully cloud based. I don't have to worry about paying for extra storage, even uploading like the videos that I have, like we do for the commercials stuff like that. With StreamYard, I have a certain limit, or a certain size. Let me put it that way. It only lets me do a certain size of video, and so therefore I have to go back in some cases, and I've had like with the intro, I had to cut that down and do some other things in order to make it fit where I can actually put it in there. So it's a little, yeah, but with Riverside I don't have to worry about that. Um, so I don't know. And I think the only reason why we really left Riverside because I think I was having some issues. I think there was issues with Riverside, but come to find out what it was that it was the new features they were adding and they were having issues. So I kind of threw everything off. So I know for us, I switched the studio up quite a bit as far as what platform we use. It doesn't really matter in the end. As long as people watching, we have good video, good audio, we're able to do the show. It is nothing changes for them because it's going to be on the same platform. It's going to be on YouTube. But like I said, the one thing I really like about Riverside that Riverside does that no one else does right now is that they give you each studio, they give you a live studio audience. So I can share out the link direct, and takes everybody directly to Riverside as a audience member, and then that gives us the ability to do the live call-ins.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do something and we say, "Hey, we're going to open this part up to the chat," or we're open this up, they can actually, if they're on a laptop or a desktop, they can actually click on that and they can actually join the show live as if they were actually in the studio. So that's pretty good. Anyways, other than that, how are you doing, ma'am?
Doing all right. It was a long day. Productive, very productive day, but it was
Okay,
long.
all
So,
right. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. Everything. I mean, you said like you said, it's a productive day there at work.
mhm.
So I mean, that's definitely good. How much longer you have till you're home?
I just I just parked my car. I'm home.
Snap. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you how we do this. Let's get your insights first on this case. Like, when did you first hear about it? And then kind of talk about the first case a little, or the first trial a little bit, if you want to. And then I'll kind of let you do that. And then what we'll do is we'll take a commercial break. We'll do two commercials, and that way we'll give you a little time to get inside if you want to.
Sure. So
So go ahead.
So with this case, I didn't do a full deep dive into this case, and I know that you've touched on this case in prior seasons.
Hmm.
However, again, it's a fairly local case. Canton, Mass is not that far from me. Um, And anytime that something comes up with law enforcement, kind of pricks my ears up a little bit because of my husband. So I kind of pay attention a little closer to those things.
Mm-hmm.
And like May said earlier, when you get wrapped up in like the whole Johnny Depp thing, Karen Reed case kind of got, swept under the rug a bit because you had this national case going on that everybody was paying attention to. And I am definitely a sucker for any Johnny Depp story. So I was,
Listen. I'm gonna tell you, I was enthralled. Like I was enthralled. Like first of all, I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan. That's number one. Number two, I had no idea who Amber Heard even was. Never heard her name before. However, come to find out, she was the lead actress in one of my favorite movies with Nicolas Cage, Drive Angry. And I had
she's
no,
done,
I didn't even know who that was. You said what?
so she's been in quite a bit too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize she was an Aquaman. I know she played her in Aquaman. I didn't realize that either. Matter of fact, that role was going on during this. There was a couple other movies she played in. I think I've watched. I can't remember which ones they are now, but yeah, I love Drive Angry. That I thought that was that. It was such a crazy movie. It was one of those Nicolas Cage movies, but it was such a crazy movie. But I freaking loved it. What are you gonna say, Mace?
Oh, I'm just thinking of that case. There's so many like unhinged quips from it. Like she's crying and she's like, "He convinced the world he had scissors for fingers." What? He's an actor. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you're talking about the freaking Edward Scissorhands, man. Oh my god, I freaking loved it. I mean, I was glued to my TV because it was on YouTube, and I was like, "This is awesome!" And like every time Daz came home from work, I'd be in the bedroom and or in my office, and it's playing. And there was even it was listen. Let me tell you how bad it was, Miss D. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish. I promise. But let me tell you how bad it was. Okay, this is how bad it was. So for anybody, if you have seen my setup, if you haven't, whatever, I've got basically when I have my laptop in here, I have my laptop that sits over here that's connected
Yes.
to a monitor. So it gives me a dual screen for that one. I have my desktop that's right here, that I have a screen right here that I'm, kind of viewing the studio here. And I have another screen off to the side. So I have a monitor for that as well. I have another laptop, my MacBook that's down here. So it gives me another, basically another um, monitor, right? I got another mounted on the wall back here that's mounted to a one of the mini PCs. So I have stuff up there, and then I have a TV that's mounted up on my wall right up here above my other monitors, where normally I have my Xbox hooked up to and everything like that. It was so bad, and I was doing my schoolwork or doing other stuff on here, so I have my two monitors here. My laptop that was over here was watching it on YouTube. Okay, I had my Xbox. I have YouTube TV, so I was on freaking because they would have the analysis and stuff like on C-SPAN and stuff like. So I was watching or whatever it was. I was watching that crap on there. And on the back one, I had it playing on there, and then on my TV in the bedroom, the 75-inch in the bedroom mounted on the wall, I had it on YouTube TV in there on watching on there too. Watching on YouTube, I had it everywhere. So that way, if I had to leave the room or leave somewhere, if I turned around because I had to get something off of this desk, I can look up at the TV up here, so I wasn't missing anything, even though I could hear it. You know what I'm saying? I could hear it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Then I can turn back around real quick and see it up there. Then if I had to get up, like I can where I'm sitting right now, I can see my TV that's in the bedroom. So if I had to get up for anything, I can get up and immediately fix my eyes on the TV and walk out my office. So that way, if I'm in the bedroom, I'm doing whatever I'm able to do. And it was bad. It was bad. It was freaking bad. Freaking bad. I was addicted. I had to check myself into rehab after the case was over. There was so many people like me. I didn't realize I made lifelong friends. And I'm much better
Did you
for it.
share a mega
Anyways,
pint with them?
I did. We did. We did. We shared mega pints. We talked about treasure, being out to sea. We did a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So it was great. It was great. I feel much better. Like I said, lifelong friends. Go ahead, Miss D.
Gee, how do I follow that up? Actually, though, it does. There is a bit of a connection, though, because during the Karen Reed case, a lot of the evidence in the first trial was
Whoa,
not
circumcised.
No, not circumcised, circumstantial.
Right. Okay.
And there was a lot of hearsay.
Yep. Yep.
So because they talked about a phone call at 2 a.m. where they heard Karen Reed say, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." But the they're asking witnesses to testify on a phone conversation about a phone conversation. Then you've got the whole they didn't find damage on her taillight,
Mm,
but they found damage on her husband's taillight or fiance or whatever he was. And they
boyfriend.
found fragments of the taillight in his skin on the autopsy report. And then also on the autopsy report, um, it was stated that he went into the home and was attacked by one of the dogs. And everybody's saying, no, he never went into the home. So where did he get all of those marks on his arms that are in the autopsy report?
Didn't
So
they put the dog down or something stupid like that?
I
Or
didn't
got
get
rid of
that
it?
far. Yeah, I think they got rid of it. I don't know if they put it down or not. I didn't go that far into it, but it just, I mean, I back the blue. I love my police officers, but there is a lot of corruption in the thin blue line. You add on to the fact that you weren't just talking about townie cops, these were state police officers. And all of the first responders that were there, for starters, how is it that nobody noticed that he was missing, but his car was still there? We're talking like elite of the elite on state police departments were supposedly there, and nobody noticed.
Supposedly.
Hmm. Right.
That's the
So,
key.
yeah, and it's all alleged. Um, but knowing that type of brotherhood and camaraderie between officers, I mean, there's a Lori list for a reason. These guys will cover
Mm-hmm.
each other's backsides, whether it's right or wrong, to just for that brotherhood. I mean, it's no better than a motorcycle gang, 1%er, grouping. I'm not putting all patch holders in the same box here. um but it's the same thing with police officers. They, you've got your good, you've got your bad. But like I said, that sorry, I lost my light. But that
Oh,
many,
oh.
yeah, but you're still saying that many um first responders under one roof and nobody noticed, and then all of a sudden all of this circumstantial evidence comes into play, and somehow all of this hearsay evidence is also allowed to be testified on in court. No wonder why the jury was in a complete deadlock. They could not vote unanimously on her being guilty or not guilty.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. Um, when you really look at it, when you look at it like that, when you really try to break things down, it makes it kind of difficult. And understand something. I'm with you there, Miss D. I love our men and women in law enforcement. I do. Um, but I think everybody needs to understand something when it comes to this. If you can't acknowledge that there are extremely lack of a better word, piss poor officers that are out there that blatantly are not doing their job and don't care about anything else, then if we can't at least agree on that, then it's hard for us to acknowledge the ones that are actually doing their job and doing it well. This is no different than any other job or any other part. Mace and I experienced that in the military. I'm saying you had officers and leadership that was really good, but then you had a vast majority of them, or saying I'm not gonna say, well, in the military I can say that vast majority of them that were just not. They were horrible. They never should have been. They never should have even been able to take the oath. They never should be able to put that uniform on. They should never been in a position where they were over other soldiers. It's no different. This is that part where I could definitely speak on. I feel it's similar when it comes to law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? I've never been an officer, you know what I'm saying? I've never went down that route. But there are a lot of correlations. And if you don't believe me, why don't you go and poll one of your local precincts and find out how many officers that are on the force now are prior military. Okay, so there's a reason why there's a lot of us that go from being in the military to go into law enforcement. It's similarly structured, and there's a lot of similarities as far as even when it comes to leadership and the good old boys and are sticking up for your soldier, your fellow soldier, your fellow officer. That stuff, the same stuff you're talking about. We're talking about in this case with these officers and what they're doing is the same stuff I know I experienced, and I can safely say Mace had probably experienced as well during his military career to come to that. So I definitely feel like I can speak on that aspect of that part of it. And the thing is, this is something that goes on. This is something that it's part of this country. All right, it is. And I think a lot of our problem is a lot of us won't acknowledge that. We just continually think that it just doesn't happen, or somebody's just, oh, you're just being paranoid, or maybe, and I hear this quite a bit. Well, maybe if you didn't do things that were suspicious, then or carried yourself in a certain way, then maybe you wouldn't have those bad encounters. Understand something. I quite literally have never had a negative encounter with law enforcement, even when I was doing stuff wrong and I got busted for something. I still never had a negative encounter with them. Number one, I was like, if I got busted for something, yeah. He's like, hey, I said, yeah, I did that, bro. I did it, man. You're right. I know I should have done it. I thought about it, but then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And we always had a funny interaction. And yeah, I still got in trouble, but it still wasn't it wasn't like oh my God, they slammed me against the car and this is that. Like, first of all, I'm not stupid enough to compound this situation. If I know I'm wrong, I'm wrong. They caught me. All right, it is what it is. And that's how I was. Birdman ain't like that no more. Okay. Birdman turn off new leaf. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The feathers got a little different. You know what I'm saying? I'm flying a little differently. You know what I'm saying? So Birdman don't do that no more. Yeah, I'm saying shout out to the law enforcement out there. Anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of that stuff going on here in this one. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Let's because I promised we're gonna take a commercial break. So let's take a commercial break. We're gonna hear from let's hear from W Energy. No, I don't want to play that one. I don't like that one. We're gonna hear from W Energy Drinks, and we're gonna hear from Tri-State 66ers. So we'll be right back right after this. Freaking weird. Yeah, that was freaking weird. I don't know what happened with that. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, Birdman Show. Got Nate Ballard. I got this day. Coordinator of all things chaos. That's the Birdman. Anyways, what is up, everybody? How you doing? You guys already know. Let's go ahead and do it with us. Hit him, Miss D.
Yeah, I love Valkyrie.
Okay, I was like, hey, what? Wrong show.
Tim, I gotta say though, on my end of the studio, it just says media board. I'm not seeing the three of us on the thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the live feed it shows all three of us.
Well,
I'm looking at it on YouTube. What the heck? Yeah, that's part of the weird thing. Okay, so when I played that last one with the Let's Fly, it like was stuck there. And then I had to go in and physically turn it off. And then everything popped back up. Like, so I'm looking at the live feed right now on YouTube, and we're all on there. So that's freaking, yeah. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, maybe that was another one of the reasons why we kind of stopped messing with Riverside. Anyways, okay, so we're talking about this case here. We're talking about Karen Reed, not guilty of murder, but the war is just beginning. Okay, so my question is, let me ask you both this question. Um, and I'll start with you, Mace. When you look at that title, especially that last part, the war is just beginning. When we take what we've talked about so far, plus what you know, and some things we haven't talked about yet, and you look at that title, and I'll put it back up there again. When you look at that title, what comes to mind? What in your mind? What comes to mind when you start to really look at that case or this title?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit twofold. There's the individual and the community element of it. Like on an individual level, like yeah, she's gone through the legal system and she's not guilty of this alleged crime. But like the court of public opinion stuff, the information and then the perspective has already been pushed out against her. Now she's kind of won the court of public opinion. For most people, I kind of agree, like, hey, she's innocent, right? But then there's the community element where it's like a known pattern of misconduct from these groups of people involved. It's just it's I do find it's difficult because like you can only really go so far, right? Because we have our legal system for these things divided. You have criminal and then you have civil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So criminal, there's usually like a really big bar to clear, whereas civil, heresy still like a thing, where it's not like they're not going to take in not heresy, what I say, hearsay. They're not going to like really take it in, but it does seem that in civil areas, it's at least entertained a little more because it's the intention of it is like to describe something, um, like kind of like how people are behaving and stuff. It's still not admitted per se, but it's entertained because you have more of an ability to actually be able to conversate. Whereas in a criminal proceeding, it's all about establishing proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and it's not really relying on the narrative describing something. You're relying on whatever you're representing to kind of like speak for itself. So on the community element, she's got a really uphill battle because yeah, we could all say in the court of public opinion, like we all kind of like agree, like there's like a most likely who actually did this, and we could essentially point the finger, but there's not really anything tangible enough to pursue those individuals with criminality. So then on the same note, it's kind of hard to go against those individuals civilly because the real issue that would be against them would be criminal. So it's messy. So you kind of go over the institution, right? Which is you go after the organization, the building, the establishment that facilitated these people to behave the way in which they did. It's kind of like if I go to a fast food restaurant and an employee chucks a hamburger at my face, yeah, that person, that individual personally like did the event, but I'm much more likely to win in court if I go against McDonald's, the institution, the corporation, as opposed to the individual. Because even if I did go after the individual for whatever civil thing, I know, they know, everyone knows, not much is going to come out of it. But if you go after the institution, then not only are things taken a little bit more seriously, but then there's a more thorough path towards any kind of rectification, whether it be monetary or it seems like with her, it's like because it's such a broad scale thing, she seems to like be the kind of person where it's like it's not just what can I get out of it. It's I have to kind of essentially use this position in my life to fall on the sword so this type of event doesn't happen to anyone else.
Yeah,
So
and you
that's
bring up
kind of where the war is.
yeah, and you bring that interesting point of like with the whole McDonald's analogy. I mean, it's like that whole thing with the I don't know if it's a guy or a girl who ended up getting burned like
For the
like second or
coffee.
third, yeah, second or third degree burns. That coffee is ridiculously hot. Okay, so I don't know who was over there messing with the controls on there, but that stuff has always been ridiculously hot. Like seriously, you think I'm going to take that coffee? I'm driving to freaking Houston to jump on a freaking space shuttle to go into space or something. I need to make sure my coffee stays hot for long enough till I get into space. Like, holy crap. Like, I could have, Satan himself came up from hell and sent his coffee back because it was too freaking hot. Like, that makes no sense, McDonald's. Are you using a lava to heat your freaking coffee up? What the freak is going I'm sorry. Anyways, Miss D. Sorry, I have a problem with McDonald's and their coffee. Miss D.
Yeah. Oh, well, just to throw that little bit of tidbit of information out, the whole McDonald's coffee thing was actually, it was an elderly woman. It
Okay.
was spilt on her, like it was hot enough that her clothes melted into the wounds.
Man, see now, see, McDonald's, you gonna have to run me them hands on both scenarios. The scenario Mace gave us about throwing a burger. If you throw a burger in my face, I'm not suing nobody. Run me them hands. I need to see you in the parking lot. Run me them hands. Let's go, partner. Because I'm knocking you, your manager, call the district manager up. We're gonna set an octagon up in the parking lot, and y'all come on in because I got something for that. And then the other one, if I put some coffee in it, it's melting into my. Nah, play. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to Walmart. I'm gonna grab some couple. I'm gonna grab some sanitizer wipes. I'm gonna wipe that stuff up, put some eye down. I'm gonna wrap it up with some ace bandages. I'm gonna put that stuff, and I'm coming limping back over there, and I'm whooping yo. You know what? I'm sorry, Miss D. What were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I get it. Even if there was like a faulty in the whole thing, when she sued McDonald's, it was about she wanted her medical bills paid. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't looking for a large payout. And I think we're looking at almost the same thing with the Karen Reed case. She's not looking for a huge payout. She's looking for retribution
Mm-hmm.
enough that it's going to hurt the wallet that they're going to think twice before doing it to someone else.
And I agree. I mean, when you say hurt the wallet, I'm 100% saying we're going after the city here, because the city's the ones they're gonna have to keep them people in check.
But it's
Keep
not
those
just the city, though. There were state officers involved in this.
right. Well, that's
So
what I'm
you're
saying. It's
actually
like
going against the entire Commonwealth of
yeah.
Massachusetts.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like you're hitting that wallet, that purse or whatever that you want to call it. You're hitting it because it's like, yo, if you don't keep your people in check, you don't do better training and get this thing under control, y'all gonna be coughing up millions, if not billions of dollars in the future. And that's the one thing we gotta. And see, there's a lot. So listen, this case it opens up and talks about so many different things because there's so many. When we talk about the corruption and everything, look at what's going on now. You got the flock cameras. You got everything's going on with the new policies and stuff that you might see come up with your devices. Like the changes they're making with the automotive industry. And there was a video that somebody just sent me today, and this is a little bit off, but kind of on the same. Somebody sent me a video today where a guy missed one car payment, and he has one of the new Broncos. Missed one car payment, and they shut his car down. He was at a stoplight in the middle of traffic trying to turn, and his car shut down because he missed a payment, and they shut him down. Like this is where I'm talking about. This is where this is getting beyond ridiculous with the stuff, to where they'll just shut you down. Don't even care about where you're at. Don't care about what's going on. They just shut you. They can shut your vehicle down without telling you anything. Just for missing one payment. Now I can see differently if he was like 3 payments behind. Maybe four, maybe 5 payments behind. I can see that. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, how about we not shut him down when you can clearly see, if you look at the GPS, he's in traffic? How
Yeah,
about wait till he
that's
gets
a
his destination?
major safety issue. I mean, how
Yeah,
about shutting down the starter so he can't start it
to begin
the
with.
next time he goes to start it? And this way, he's not going to be in the middle of traffic.
Right.
It's
Like you could have waited until
They
he missed his
shouldn't have
payment.
access at all. Oh
This
my
is true.
good God. Like,
No, I agree with
well,
you.
that's true. I mean, I agree with you as well. That I mean, they have done studies on that. That the trackers that they put on these vehicles for that purpose actually do more damage to the vehicle than they do good for the consumer.
Well, yeah, 100%. And my thing is like, you know what? I don't want to get on that. That's a whole different subject because I got a whole playlist and a whole freaking thing that we can do. We can do a half of a season on, which is talking about all this stuff that's going on with the technology and you look at what's going on with the administration, with the people who are actually going to be profiting off of this type of stuff because they're investing in these companies that are they're help pushing to get these contracts for it. That's neither here or there. Anyways, back to this case.
Yes.
So, Miss D, question to you:
Yeah.
when you look at that title, and we're sitting there, and I'll put it back up there. Karen Reed not guilty of murder, but the war is just beginning. What are some of your thoughts run through with some of the conversations we've already had, and then some of this like knowledge you have when it comes to this case?
So I mean, the war on this, it's going to be a forever thing, when you really break it down, because you're going up against government officials. Your police officers themselves, like I said, that's one thing, but when you're going after police officers, you're going after the town. When you're going after state troopers, you're going after the state. You're going after government officials and the embodiment that surrounds them. And again, there is a camaraderie or a brotherhood, if you will, of these officers, and they're going to do what they can to protect one another, because nobody wants to be a whistleblower and say, hey, there's corruption going on. I mean, the mass public basically knows how much corruption is going on. Um, and I'm really hoping that the Reed case is going to crack open some of that, because you can't heal a wound like that unless you really get into the internal workings of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wounds that need to be healed from when it comes to just officials in general. Whether you're talking about law enforcement, at the local level, at the state level, at the national level, at the federal level. Um, there's a healthy distrust of law enforcement. Um, and call, you can try to slice it up, dice it up, serve it up however you want to. You say, well, not all are bad. You're right, they're not all bad, but the stigma when it comes to law enforcement is a well deserved stigma because of the fact that you've had and still have so many that are bad at their job. That's just lack of a better term. They're just bad at their job. And it really hurts those who are actually out there doing the right thing. That are actually out there serving and protecting the people. And then in this case, this is when you look at it like this. You're looking at it. Okay, so these all people are involved in law enforcement. Seemingly, they have committed murder allegedly. Once again, none of this is we haven't proved. There's none of this proven. We don't have to prove anything. Um, but could be allegedly you've committed murder, and then they've gone through a painstaking process of trying to cover it up and frame her. Now, I agree with Mace and one a comment he made earlier. You don't need a lot of people in order to do a cover up. You just need people who are going to be able to follow instructions and follow your orders. You can have two or three people that are basically running the operation, but if you steer the other people that are around you and put them in place and position to basically do their job, but you're giving them the evidence in order to process. You're telling them, hey, oh, did we look at this part? Oh my God, good look, sir, or good look, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? And they look at that and they're, oh my God, we never would have saw this. That's great. That's a great find by this guy. This just speaks to how great this officer is or this detective is at their job. When they're steering the whole investigation. I mean, you can look at that on some other cases that are going on right now in America, but we're not talking about those cases. But you get certain people that are, in charge or get in charge, and they say we're going to do all this stuff, but then as soon as they get in charge, then all of a sudden those investigations that were going on cease, and then the cover up begins. And there's been quite a few of those things that have been going on in these last few years. This is just one of many cases where this type of thing goes on. Okay, so this is where the opportunity I'm gonna give you both equal time an opportunity to rant about this case. Miss D, I'm gonna let you go since we haven't heard much from you yet. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna give you free range. Talk about whatever parts of this case you want to talk about.
Well, again, the whole thing is, based out of Massachusetts. And even right now, we've got another major case out of Massachusetts with the whole Lindsay Clancy thing.
Oh
Now,
yeah, I forgot about that.
right, and and you've got so many people.
The heck is going on
Where's
in Massachusetts, man?
I don't know. Don't drink the water. Um,
Good God.
I mean, they say it's dirty water anyway, so But um, when everybody like really breaks down these cases, you know, you get people in the Reed case that are defending law enforcement, people that are tearing it down. Um, and I get both sides. Believe me, I get both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I used to trust law enforcement blindly. I no longer do for personal reasons. Um, it there's too many cover-ups in law enforcement around the world, not just our country, not just
Right.
any individual state. This
Yep.
this is a worldwide issue because it all
Mm-hmm.
has to do with power and an imbalance of that power. And then the whole thing with the Lindsay Clancy case. I mean, you're talking medical professionals again, first responders that were involved in that case. And if anybody is not aware of the Lindsay Clancy case, one, I think you're, sleeping under a rock somewhere. But this woman is on trial for allegedly unaliving her children, which she admitted to, but there was a lot of things, like 17 med changes in 3 weeks and, calling, psychosis, all of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but, the ex-husband's also married to a doctor that looks just like his ex-wife. There's a
Mm.
whole lot of, things going on. Cover-ups
Didn't they have
can
the
be
same travel
done.
agent?
I don't know.
No, I'm
Don't
I'm
know.
saying that's kind of yeah, that's something that came. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right.
No, we're not talking about the case.
But cover ups happen every single day. And it doesn't matter if it's law enforcement, doesn't matter if it's government officials, doesn't matter if it's, Joe Schmo down the street, covering up a minor infraction. Cover ups happen every day. And actually, you're right. You don't need a whole lot of people. A lot of times, the less people that are involved, the more likely you
Better.
are to get away with it because less
Mm-hmm.
people to talk about it. Um, but that's allegedly. Don't come
Yes,
after me.
yes, yes. Uh-huh. Right, right, right.
um,
Exactly.
that's just the psychology of it. Um, but yeah, no. As far as this particular case, it still boggles my mind because there were there was evidence that can exonerate her on the manslaughter charges. She did take the OUI. She served her probation for it. Um, you know, I think and at this point too, there's so much evidence that is long gone from the case to even be able to retry it properly because you're just going over and rehashing the same evidence that even the defense kind of looked and said, hey, this doesn't make sense. And then you've got all of the hearsay, you've got all of the circumstantial evidence that even like Mace was saying at the beginning, that her taillight wasn't even busted until they brought it into the evidence bunker. Like, you know, where was the chain of not chain of command, but the chain of custody?
Mm-hmm.
Start investigating that. I think they're just looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think they've. I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's not the. I don't know. I can't say if it's the fact they're looking in the wrong places. They're trying to keep everybody else from looking in the right places.
So yeah, I
Is what
mean,
it
you
feels like
you
it.
you create enough mass confusion that nobody knows the truth, from the lie, then people are going to make their own opinions, and that's enough to And it's a term I use all the time. It's enough to muddy the waters.
Yes, agreed. I 100% agree with that. Yeah. You got anything else you're gonna add?
Nope.
All right,
Mace, take it
Mace.
away.
Yeah, I don't think I have as much to say on this one, other than what has already been said. So, at least from my stance, it, I will just say that the whole thing, it's like it does. I can't help but look at the corruption element of it. Like, you know me, I do the tinfoil whatever, and just by looking at this case and seeing the reaction, and they kind of the other people went on like a media tour, like to kind of like get the public to think that they aren't what the public thinks that they are. And it's done so heavy handedly in a way to where I it's disingenuous. I don't believe them. It's essentially just trying to make them look better. Like they realize like their story isn't adding up. Too many people have looked at it and they're panicking, but they're doubling down. So looking at the corruption element of it in these people that are in these positions of power that have a level of influence, that have particular professional career relationships to be able to facilitate doing this alleged cover up in the first place, that's rather concerning. Because broad scale, like that's kind of like how a lot of public trust and faith in these like government institution goes away because of the roles and actions of a few. So like the whole like back the blue thing. I think everybody sucks. I don't back anybody. Uh, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I personally, I've never really had very good interactions with law enforcement. That's just me. I've never been arrested. Nothing like that. But the incidences that I've had with police officers just never been good. And it's mainly because this goes back to the whole power thing. It's like more often than not, most of the law enforcement I've come across, they were very clearly peaked in high school, or
Mm,
they were the type of people where I want to say, I don't mean everybody. I'm limiting this to my interactions. But yeah, these are people that like, oh, you could tell they were a bully in high school, or you could tell like, like there's something else that happened in their life to kind of, now that they're in this position of power, they kind of go overboard with it because it
mm,
gives them a good feeling to have like power over the powerless. And this is all based upon the fact that they can get away with it. It's like the qualified immunity thing. So
yeah.
when you when you peel back, and this isn't like the institution itself that's doing this cover up, right? It's the individuals that work within it, or people that, what was it? I think that one of the issues that had come up was one of the guys was law enforcement, but worked in a different jurisdiction. So it was like, why are you coming into our jurisdiction, like our area, when you don't even like work here,
Right.
And that was something that kind of raised some red flags. And I do think it's very necessary we have law enforcement. It's necessary that we have these people that are willing to like do what they have to do to defend citizens. But more often than not, it's like you get people that they don't know law. So like you have all these First Amendment auditors. I can't stand them. It's very clear that most First Amendment auditors, they're just going out of their way, making YouTube content, trying to get a rise.
Mm,
Like we can set all the stuff aside. Like I appreciate what you're doing because I love the First Amendment, but aside from that, like I just shrug my shoulders. Like, come on, man, we know what you're doing. Like we,
right.
but and it's like it's kind of like when you get these political correspondents guys, like these political influencers, but they go to college campuses. Like Charlie Kirk, for example, going to college campuses. Steven Crowder going to college campuses. They don't want to actually have these real hard hitting debates with actual people that are professionals in whatever they're debating, right? Because
Hmm.
most likely they'll lose, or most likely they're not going to be on the same level. They're all substance and style, and or they're all style less substance. And so when you go against the college kids, what you're doing is it's going to be a losing battle for the college kid, because all the college kid is doing is rehashing talking points that was given to him by the institution. So it's just NPC behavior. I was going somewhere with this. Back to the law, tying it back to the law enforcement thing somehow.
There you go.
I was using that as like an example of another point I was trying to make, but I lost it because you know how I am. But yeah. I
Understand
do
it.
believe that law enforcement's very important, and the problem is the individuals like this who I would, my assumption, my guess, my thought pattern of making this whole thing make sense. He went inside the house. Something happened that resulted in the people in the house killing him. Maybe he saw something he wasn't supposed to see. Maybe there was a confrontation or an argument. Who knows? But he went in the house. Something happened that resulted in him being killed, right? And you have people that work as a part of law enforcement that then make all of law enforcement look bad because they're using their positions within that institution to obfuscate responsibility and consequences for their own actions. And that's the part that I think is really bad because I don't think like defunding the police. What the hell's that gonna do? Nothing. What we should be doing, if anything, is we need to be budgeting and allocating money properly. We shouldn't be like this whole qualified immunity thing. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It's more of an issue than anything else because at the end of the day, it's the taxpayer that ends up having to flip the bill for these guys getting off scot free, or because then the city sued, the department sued, the state sued. That comes out of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then we also need better training. We also need cops that actually know. That's it. The law. You have cops that don't know the law, right? That's a big one. If you don't know, if you're a police officer and you don't even know the First Amendment and what that entails, what are you even doing? It's first for a reason. It's the one amendment that kind of is foundational for everything that comes after. Because without the First Amendment, nothing else really stands. Um, and then you have like the whole Fourth Amendment thing. You have Fifth Amendment stuff, like all these basic things of us interacting with the private citizen interacting with the state. That's what a lot of these amendments are for, to protect us from the government, right? People don't look at it that way. But when people get into law enforcement, more often than not, it's like, I am the law. And that destroys an institution that is otherwise is supposed to be a benefit to all, supposed to protect all, supposed to uphold law, uphold order. And then you get these people that come in, use these roles to kind of benefit themselves, get themselves out of trouble, act more powerful than they otherwise, can handle. Yada yada yada, rant. I think that's where I'm at. Like, I love and appreciate having police officers because we do need them in any form of civilized society. But we've just given them way too much unchecked power, in the sense that you get these individuals that operate how they operate, and then it makes the whole institution look bad. And you can't, like, one bad apple. What was it? One bad apple doesn't ruin the bunch. Whatever the phrase is. But
One bad apple can spoil the bunch.
yeah, and it's like it shouldn't be that way, but it is because what do we hear of in the news? Whenever we hear something go bad, it gets blasted out everywhere. So one bad police dude. Oh my, I don't want to get on it. There's the cops out here are dog shit. But anyway, no, they ripped a house apart trying to get to someone inside that was already dead, and they didn't want to take responsibility for it, so they claimed qualified immunity. And there's been this weird legal. So long story short, I'll condense this. There was a guy that did something bad and barricaded himself inside this house, this townhouse, and the cops were trying to get him out, arrest him, all this stuff, and there was firearms and all this stuff involved. This is actually right down the street from here.
Wow.
It was in a gated community. So what ended up happening is these cops, because there was a live stream of it, because we have a lot of independent journalists out here, so they'll get their little cell phones and they'll go and stage nearby anything and then they'll report. So we were watching the live stream as this standoff was going on with the cops outside, and the cops were egging the dude on. They were literally shit talking. It's like, hey, we don't want to be here all night. I got other shit to do. Come on out. And Trevor, we know you're in there. What the fuck? They turned off water, turned off power, and remember, it's a townhouse, so it's not just a single unit. It's
turned off the whole unit.
It's the building, And then on top of it, like they do the whole like tear gas and stuff. The tear gas like goes all over the neighborhood instead of the one building. They evacuated like a huge chunk of the neighborhood, and then they took a bunch of people's pets. So then when people finally came back afterwards, their pets were fucking gone. Half the pets were fucking either missing or dead. um, so yeah, when they were trying to finally get this guy, what they did is they saw an excavator. They went over and claimed the excavator, like that was in a nearby construction site, ripped off the wall of the building just to find out that the guy was dead inside. And then through all of this stuff, they're like, oh yeah, that was all in the line of duty. That was all technically we're allowed to do all that. So we're claiming qualified immunity. So we're not going to be responsible for any of it.
They had nothing to break the door down.
No, here's the thing. They already had a team that went inside. They had a SWAT team, broke down the door, made their way halfway into the house, but then they turned around and left because the guy was shooting at them. It's like you're already in there. You That's the whole thing. If you're good, like same thing with the military, right? You're doing house clears and stuff. You expect, because you know that there's firearms involved, you expect the guy to be shooting. You expect the guy to, it's one of those things that you think is most likely going to happen. So as you do the house clear and you go from room to room, whatever, you have your whole staging. You make sure you got your battle buddies all checked, all cover angles, everything. You expect there to most likely potentially to be fire coming your way. And the moment it happens, y'all turn around scared and run away.
I mean, I get nobody wants to get shot.
It's like you're already in there.
I get nobody wants to get shot, but you already in there, and that's your job.
They even sent robots, and that was another thing that's another thing that the taxpayers out here had to do, was we had to because he destroyed their robots that they sent in, which were millions of dollars. All right, anyway, I'm done. Keep going.
I don't even know how to process that. There was so much that just happened there that just really irked me. Like, it really vexed me to my soul. With just the sheer stupidity of some of the stuff that goes on. I
Well, I mean, look at the Uvalde case where the armed man went into this school and cops came down, the corridor. He opened fire. The cops ran the other way with children you know, in these classrooms. The gunman wound up, going in. And I mean, one classroom was like 17, 18 kids. And it took them 70 minutes, to go back in and clear. I mean, that was 70 minutes that this man tortured these children, you know, and just unspeakable things because the cops couldn't take, you know, they ran the other way when he started shooting at him. It's like, take him out.
I couldn't be the police chief. I'm telling you that right now. I'd have been like, hey, all y'all, give me your badges, give me your guns, go home. Yeah, just wow. Okay, listen. This case itself it's just there's a lot of crazy things going on with this. There's a lot of corruption going on in this. And the thing that it begs the question is, when you start to talk about things, you start bringing these questions up. How far, how deep is that corruption? You know what I'm saying? Like, if anybody's ever dealt with, like, let's say potatoes or something like that, you feel a bad spot in potatoes. Sometimes whatever it is, you can cut a little bit of the piece out that's bad, right? And you still have a pretty good chunk of your potato, right? But there's sometimes when you go to cut something out of something, whether it's potatoes, meat, whatever it is, you're cutting it out and you realize, okay, it's a little deeper than what I thought it was. So maybe I need to throw this one out. And you go to the next one, you might find another bad spot. You cut that spot out. All right. And you might find yourself throwing away 4 or 5 different things. But before you start finding the good ones. And that's what goes on with a lot of this stuff. Here's the thing that really got me, right. The defense's star witness was Dr. Maria Russell, right? She's a dog bite expert. because we brought up the whole thing about the dog bites and all that stuff up earlier. The prosecution tried their hardest to block her from testifying at the retrial, but the judge allowed it. Russell argued that the wounds on O'Keefe's arm were from a dog, supporting the defense's theory that he was attacked inside the house. But the prosecutors hammered her on the stand, pointing out that no dog DNA was found on his clothing. They asked, how can you say it was a dog bite if there was no dog DNA? So there's a lot. Listen, I can't. With this case, I can't even begin. And the fact that it's still not even really technically over. I mean, that part of it kind of is from the simple fact is, she served her time for her misdemeanor. She's suing the people who are involved. Those are she accused of this stuff, and the fact they're countersuing her for defamation of character is just like, just take your L and go home. Like, seriously, just we're at the playground. Okay, we understand that your basketball we've been playing with. You're mad because you didn't get picked for the last game. Just go ahead and take your ball and go home. Everybody just go home, call it a night, and just start your life over again tomorrow. Like, Jesus, just stop. Now, did you? I will ask this last question before we wrap things up. Did you hear about the Google search? Did we talk about that part?
I heard about the Google search, yes.
Okay, and there's, I guess, the infamous Google search. The defense
Mhm.
claimed a witness Googled.
How long does it
Well,
take to die being left out in the cold?
that's not what I'm laughing about. I'm laughing at the article that which it brings it up. So obviously, somebody needs to look at their editor, because whoever proofread this needs to be fired. Then whoever allowed this to be submitted needs to be fired. It doesn't say how long. It says hose long to die in cold. HOS. Hose. Like, what? But yes, there was a Google search. How long does it take? How long does it take to die in the cold? Hours before the body was found, proving a cover up. Now I don't remember who they said actually did the Google search. Prosecution said it was a butt dial. Really? That's a weird thing. Like, that's your explanation for a Google search where you actually have to type in. Now, understand something. When you're typing something, everybody already knows this. When you're typing this stuff in, whether it's on Google, YouTube, whatever, you typing this in, you say how to, and a whole list of things comes up, right? So you have to continue to keep typing to get to where you want, because if not, you're just gonna come to a whole bunch of, like, I start typing how to, then I might have like things to say, how to program a universal remote, how to change a tire, how to, because those are some of the things I've looked up before. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking up something and it's not what I want, and I'm having to, like, how can you butt dial? First of all, you can't butt dial a search, but that's neither here nor there. How can you butt dial how long to die in a cold? Like, what are your butt cheeks doing? And if that's the case, then you need to take that show on the road. You need to get paid, because if your butt can type some stuff like in like that, you can multitask like a mother. I just,
It gives a whole new meaning to touch typing. God.
I'm like, I need you. I'm gonna need you to sanitize your screen before you hand that off to anybody. Like, that just don't even sound right to me, fam. Anyway, I'm done with this case. This
But
case is,
yeah, I mean, the first searches that it came up was at like 6:54, which is after they discovered him and whatnot. And it was snowing that night and all of that. But then the prosecution came out and said, well, our forensics found that it was done at like 2 something in the morning. But I never saw where there was a question directed to any professional uh, in the tech community that could basically unencrypt it to figure out exactly when it happened.
yeah, I don't know. like I said, there's just so much with this case that just it's extremely it's exhausting, and I'm not even involved in the case. It's like that's what gets me. It's like I'm not even involved in the case, and it's I'm exhausted. Like I can only imagine the defense. I can only imagine Karen Reed. I can only imagine the people who've gone through this case. Um, how exhausting this has been for them. Just looking at just skimming over some of the stuff that we've been talking about, and some of the stuff I'm looking at as far as all this everything's concerned is extremely exhausting. So I can only imagine. Um, yeah, I'm done with this right now for right now. Anyways, we'll revisit this as more updates come, and we might talk a little bit more about this case a little bit later. But at the same time, I just I can't right now. I don't want to adult. I don't want to adult anymore. Not today. I just I can't do it. Miss D, you have anything you want to tell the good people before we get up out of here?
Just remember that the prosecution is, they work for the law enforcement agencies. At least in New England, and if the prosecutor or the state's picking up charges, it will say, prosecutor's office out of such and such police department.
Okay.
So the prosecution itself is going to follow the law enforcement lead. Um, and so many people are programmed that law enforcement is doing forensic science to, prove or disprove a thing rather than trying to cover something up. We have to remember that these are people too that can be just as messed up and depraved as any other criminal. But because they wear a certain uniform or a certain badge, people are going to look at them in a higher light, basically. And how about we start looking at people for people and doing the work that is based on the science, because that may be our only way to find the truth in some of these crimes. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, I like it though. Mace,
What up?
what do you
What's the
have to say to good
question?
people as we get out of here?
Oh yeah, everything's a lie. Reality's fake. It's real, but it's fake. It's complicated. Um, yeah, love your loved ones and be nice to people and don't sweat the small stuff and don't give in to being mean to people that deserve it. There you go.
What? That okay? I like it. You know what? I like it. I like it.
Was that like a roundabout way of saying don't sweat the petty, but definitely don't pet the sweaty?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, that too. I can get down with that. I can definitely get down with that. Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate everybody who joined us over on our YouTube channel. Like I said, if you're watching this later, whatever might be on, definitely check out any of our past episodes on YouTube at TBS 216. Like I said, I oh crap. Sorry, they did that thing again where I go click on something and it closes down my windows. Anyways, I do enjoy Riverside. There's still some things I'm still having some issues with. So I don't know. We'll discuss some things at a later date. But yeah, I don't know. We'll discuss some things at a later date. Um, we have oh crap. Let's see. So give me a second. Let me pull this up. Okay, so yeah, we just did our skip week for conspiracy files. So we'll be back next Monday. Um, oh, now we're talking about um I haven't came up with a actual title for this, but the subject for it is going to be leaving religion, cults, and excommunication. Is that what we're talking about? I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing. I'll come up with a title course for that for next week. So that should be interesting. I'm gonna try to see if I'm gonna try to see if there's a couple other people I can reach out to as well. Maybe they want to join us for this episode. But If not, that should be a fun episode. So that
I
should be.
definitely think, there's going to be a big focus on the Leah Remini side of things.
Mhm.
Um, because I mean that one, I mean she blew the top off of Scientology when it came to that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested in that. There's a lot of there's a lot of different things when it comes to that. So that should be a interesting topic for Monday. And then we follow that up next Wednesday with a "Can You Survive" episode on the Birdman Show. So that should be fun. And then we're getting pretty close to the end of the Birdman season for season 8, right?
Yep. I think we've only got
Wow.
like 2 or 3 more episodes.
Yeah, because we'll have Can You Survive? Then after that, we do the fall of the Dahlia case, and then after that is our season finale, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Season 8 finale. That is crazy. I think we're at the end of 8 seasons. You're going to go into our ninth season. Wow, outstanding. Um, oh, I do have an announcement to make though. I can't show it on here because does YouTube? Yeah, YouTube has an issue with showing like firearms and stuff on. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I think unless it's like a designated like target practice kind of thing, they have an issue with it.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna show it then. But for those who don't know, if those who do know, I've been going to school for SDI, Sonora Desert Institute, gunsmithing, and so I'm at the point right now where I'm doing a lot of my major projects. So I just finished up with one of my major projects, and it was building a muzzle loader. So I built my own muzzle loader. They sent me a kit for it, and I built it. I do all the sanding for it, the staining, and all that stuff for it. It is a fully functioning muzzle loader. Well, kind of. All the parts are there. It should work, but in the process of doing the final project of it and putting it all together, I dropped the trigger, and one of the springs busted off of it. So I have to order a new one. Other than that, it actually works. I actually, when I put it together the first time, before I screwed everything down, I put everything in and actually pulled the trigger, and it actually works and everything. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, I got it completed. It's all done. Turned my project in, and I got a 99 on it.
Yay!
So yeah,
Congratulations.
I have one more major project to do, and that's my AR-15 build that they're going to be sending. So I'm extremely looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. I mean, I'm loving it because we get to keep all this stuff. So I'm loving it. Being able to do that, put my own touch on it, my own spin on it, and doing some of the new tricks that they've taught us with some things. So it's gonna be a very fun project. So my plan is to actually with this one, and I didn't think about it until after I got done with this project. My plan is to once I get the build and everything, is to actually start filming. And so I have to make videos, throughout these final projects. I have to make videos. I had to make, assembly video. I had to, show the video standing and show the video putting the parts together and stuff like that. Well, I plan on doing the same thing with the R15 build, but I'm gonna do it a little bit more elaborate. I'm gonna put together, and I'm actually gonna post that on one of our channels of doing that and put the whole process together and actually kind of show the whole thing. I might actually probably put it on our Rumble channel. I know we haven't been on there in a minute, but I might put that on there because there's a heck of a lot less restrictions. There's a lot of people doing like a lot more stuff on there than I'm doing with that. So I might put it on there and then just send a link out for everybody to kind of check it out. But it's going to be fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm getting close to graduation, so I'm just excited about it. So I really appreciate everybody being patient with us and the show with that going on. Plus, everything personally in my family. I just appreciate everybody. My closing thoughts are just simple. People just if you're single or if you've been in a relationship and you got a relationship and you're getting yourself back out in the dating world, don't be so quick to just hook up with somebody to be with somebody. Vet the people you are talking to. Vet the people you're going to be allowing in your life. We've been talking about and dealing with too many stories here lately where We got stuff like this. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Hayden Palantir situation with her unaliving. Everything that's going on with that. And she was such a phenomenal actress. I didn't know her personally, but watching her interviews and stuff like that, she seemed like a really genuinely good person. But then we found out read her memoirs and stuff that's talk about that, all that crap that she went through. And it's like, dang, for real? It's like, man, it's just we gotta start vetting people that we let in our lives. Don't just stop living this fantasy world. If you're a guy or if you're a girl, oh my God, Mr. Right, or oh man, she's so, oh my God, she's so great, and you're ignoring all those signs. Stop, just stop. That is enough. Is enough. It's 2026. Let's stop. Let's stop with the fantasizing crap. Get into the real world. Understand there are real monsters out there. You know what I'm saying? They don't, and they wear whatever face they need to wear to be able to get in your life, gain your trust, and then destroy it. So stop with all this stuff. Okay. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of signs that went on with what is going on in this case that people just ignored. And like I said, I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know what is going on with this, what was going on with him, that it seemed like a whole house just came in. It reminds me of that movie um, with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, Basic. That's the name of it, Basic. If you've never seen that movie, if you want to talk about a suspenseful movie that has twists and turns and you have no idea what the heck is going on, even until the very end of the movie, you still don't know what's going on with it. Just when you think you have it figured out, here comes another twist. But this reminds me of it because in that movie, there's a certain part where the recruits come together, and it's the Marine Corps. They're in the Marines, I believe. They come together to kill somebody, kill the drill sergeant, kill whoever was in charge of the company, which was Samuel Jackson. And it comes together like they're all out in a training exercise, and they kind of come together. They decide to take him out, and that's how the movie kind of just kicks off. And it's crazy. It's great. It's a great movie. It's older. It's an older movie. I mean, not old, but it came out back when Mason and I were still in the military when I first saw it. But I absolutely love it. But this movie kind of reminds me of it when it comes to a lot of stuff. Like I have no idea what's going on with this movie now. To hear the stuff that the people going on in the house and this other stuff, and now they're saying, "Oh, well, yeah, he never came inside," but it's like, yeah, he was inside. And then it's like, "Oh, well, the dog bit him." Like, "Oh no, the dog didn't bite him." Or maybe it was a neighbor dog, that went to go pee on the mailbox and didn't know he was in the snow, and he startled him, so he bit him or something. I don't freaking know. But anyways, there's a lot of craziness going on with this. So I don't know, but people just be careful out there. This world is very crazy. People in charge of this world do not care about you. So stop thinking that somebody's actually looking out for you, and actually look out for yourself and your family. Those who are doing their job will continue to do their job, and they'll be there when they need to be there. But don't think that you're going to get one of the good ones every single time they come out to your door. Oh, Jesus, I need a drink. Anyways, it's been a week, y'all. It's been a week, and we're in the middle of hump day. But listen, we love you guys so very much. We thank you guys very much for supporting us, loving us, being here with us, and just being there. We just love it. Okay. So for Mace, for Miss D, for Deathlight, for Ace, for Mama Bambi, for everybody involved with the Birdman Studios, Birdman Show, Conspiracy Files, and just everybody in general. We love you guys. Thank you guys so very much. For those who got a chance to join me on my TikTok, I was live on TikTok. I think it was yesterday. No, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, I decided to do a little cooking. It was myself, Rain, and Des were all in the kitchen, so I decided to go live. I hadn't gone live on TikTok in quite some time. I actually kind of missed it actually when I was on there, so we might try to sneak that in every once in a while for those who are still on TikTok, just to say what's up. Reach out, let you guys know we definitely not forgot about you guys. We still love you guys. Um, so yeah, I might do that, from here from time to time. Won't be anything planned, just be kind of impromptu type stuff. Open the boxes up just to see how everybody's doing. So yeah, for everybody here at the Birdman Studios family and everything, we love you guys. We'll see you guys on Monday when we come back to talk about a little bit of what are we talking about? Oh yeah, leaving religion, cults, and extra communication. Communication. Come on. Yeah. Communication. Yeah. Yeah. Excommunication.
Words
Yeah.
are hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Had another stroke. At this rate, I think I'm having at least 5 strokes a week. Yeah. Just yeah, it's there. Anyways, thank you guys. We love you guys. We will see you guys next Monday. For the Birdman Show, I'm Birdman Mace. There's Miss D. We're out. Go ahead and do it with us as we get up out of here. Hit him, Miss D.
Caw.
That's right. And we're out.